I'm sorry, darling. I'm sorry. I said there's no coverage, and it's inconvenient. Yes, I'm at the National. No, I'm not seeing anything. I'm working. Working, yes. They were surprised. Well, look. I've got a few people with me at the moment, so I'll talk to you later. It's lovely to have a catch up, yes. Bless you, darling. I didn't want to have a long conversation with her because it would be taking naturalism too far. They do seem to welcome me back by making me feel at home. They seem to have got the postal district wrong. I'm NW6, you know. I think this might be N11. You're going to be like that, huh? Well, it's very kind of you to come, And now that we've when I realised I was going to have to work in the round, I blamed Tyrone Guthrie and Stephen Joseph for all this. I thought, where am I going to stand so that I can conquer the house in 1 minute? And I remembered seeing. Should rehearse for this. I remember seeing Max Wall demonstrating on television how he was taught, how he picked up how to conquer the house. In one phrase of the song, on Mother Kelly's doorstep, down Paradise Lane. But how do you do it? On Mother Kelly's doorstep. So it's, I knew that wouldn't be over. Oh, we're in the first gag. Now then, I haven't found the best place to be, so I'm going to move around a bit. I know there's a camera somewhere. There are two lurking. Forgive me for a moment, but Alfred Lunt used to make a lot of good effects with his back, you know, so just remember that. I shall move in a bit. I'll tell you what, I'll start it. I saw something that's not in the book. We don't have long, actually. God, I've done 5 minutes. We've got a local habitation and a name here. But let's try and make it a bit more cosmic. It's not in the book. Our universe goes on each day expanding, quite beyond my tiny understanding. If our universe were finite, I dare say even I might sort of almost understand from what to where it might expand. Is there then no nothing into which things spread? I'm stuck with this idea of edge, as I've already said. In fact, although they know there are 100,000 million stars, as well as all the planets such as Pluto, Neptune, Mars, they think there could be more. Galaxies, nay universes existing just next door. How can what is endless get still bigger? Nothing in my brain cells can quite trigger a concept or a picture. I'm stuck with this imaginative scripture. Wait, there is no nothing. But this something of vast size somehow finds more space out there, which it can colonize. And as our great immensity gets even more immense, matter's getting thinner and isn't quite so dense. I feel like that in the morning. Is this it? The universe exists and there isn't any place where it desists. Existence has an infinite persistence. There isn't anywhere where the universe ain't there. There really is no end. And then there comes a point, I'm sure, where straight lines start to bend. In fact, a straight line travelling forever and a day in 50 zillion light years might come back the other way. This doesn't mean creation curves into a present without being all-pervasive and completely omnipresent. This hasn't made our scientists faint-hearted. Paradoxically, they've asked just how infinity got started. It's not for me to query the present Big Bang theory, as it goes it's far more winning than entering a garden fully formed as originally sinning. But was there then no garden, no redemption and no pardon? Not the just and the unjust, just a bang, loss of dust, which eventually, as far as we've got, gave rise to you and me, and what not. Was God then unemployed when things were, to quote the Bible, void? Somewhat at a loss without cosmos? Did he thunder, oh God damn it, won't it start unless I bang it? But of stardust we are made, and that's clearly why we twinkle when we start to make the grade. Well, I could make a cut here. As I terminate, you can do what you like. There's nobody with a hookey. As I terminate my verse, is it too long? There's another theory. Here's the thing, it's string. And something else entangled. We should get entangled. And I could mention that there is a 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, possibly an 11th dimension. And there's, should I expand myself, should I trouble? The other theory is called bubble. A theory that has not as yet been burst, forget that. Parallel universes. I can't speak. Another you. Another me. Does this mean we're not unique? The comic's gag, uttered with cosmic nous. That'll go better. Second half. I'm so glad you got that one. We're in with a chance. As I terminate my verse, is it too long? A robin quite outclasses me and sings his winter song. There's a window somewhere. Out there, upon a branch against the blue. What else this gorgeous morning would a winter robin do? Born knowing how to look and sound divine, in tune with universes far beyond the strains and discords that comprise this verse of mine. Still my robin goes on singing in the sunshine and the cold, mysterious and beautiful, although his tunes are old. No, there is no nothing. Here is something I surmise that sings to claim its little patch of measurable size, so certain in its song that you think it's strong and wise, but it's fragile, like our planet. I hear him improvise, and marvel at this feathered ball in infinite surprise. Now, if you forgive me, I'm going to do another poem before we get on to the prose, because what to do with those scripts I brought? This is the preview, you understand. And already we know there's no first night. So what the fuck have we got to lose? Can you sit down at a glass coffee table? This is something more particular, taking you back to my childhood. A lot of my early psychic energy was trying to decide whether and when to transmute the word bath to bath, or plum to plum. And if you got sugar wrong, you felt very sick. 2 sugars, please. Before I had those problems, as a little boy, well, I've written this, it's called Ode to a Certain Acre or Two of Wasteland in West Bowling, Bradford. Not Bradford on Avon, Bradford in the West Riding, as it used to be called. It's an antidote to Eliot's Wasteland. What's in a name? Although you know I'm curious to find names for the grasses left so far. 70 years behind. This is in the book. Unknowingly, I dig to the place once called Toad Field, where, ignorant of botany, I played amongst its yield of, now with the aid of a plant book I will tell you, sweet vernal grass, timothy, Yorkshire fog and meadow fescue, perennial ryegrass, crested dog's tail, common sedge. I look back in the distance from the elderly frayed edge of life and see the wild, neglected place. Gone now, of course. That stream I damned, I haven't left a trace. The grasses, mounds of unbuilt stone, dandelions, the spring, the ditch, all flattened as a fenced brick school, an asphalt playing pitch. The Doomsday Book says that Bradford's Vale was nothing but a waste, a Norman waste, because Stortford folk were not at Norman's taste. Time past was owned by knights and kings and even John of Gaunt. Such is the history of this scrap of England which my verses haunt. On the eastern side a dry stone wall, and over it a railway cutting, Bradford Dye Works, allotments, bowling park abutting. To north was Round Street, back to backs, where road were even cobbled. On west, new houses, pebble dashed, where folk were molly cobbled. Back rooms, inside lavatories, back gardens, placed for cinders, guards at the front and all under the light bay windows. Suddenly, the cricket field, the arms houses and bowling junction. Nobody seemed to need Toad Field. They thought it served no function. And all around was Bradford, spread upside of 7 hills. My dad was down Springmill Street, in one of dark satanic mills. Mother with our ration books, shopping down at Grundy's, or scouring doorstones, baking, darning, turning mandel Mondays. Billy was into RAF, teaching Morse code in Ceylon. His photo was in Pembroke Street, and mail forms he wrote home on. 'Tis writ that John of Gaunt in silver armour progressed o'er his ground. Can't promise thee he graced the bit on which I could be found. Brother Billy, he played there, and called it Billy Gibby's Field. I never heard of him, so I supposed his fate was sealed before I trod this earth. Old Gibby gone to meet his maker, and left this grassy scrap of note, of which I was the taker. Toadfield Liberty was mine, and all the kids I played with. Its grass is stoned, its mud, its water, our dreams were made with. 9/10 at law, best part was ours, choose whoever owned and bought it. Name the lesson, lads must learn, and lasses, Toadfield taught it. The waterways and houses, castles, schemes that we devised, hurt and nubbed it. Gone, King Richard, well, they would have been surprised. I bartered with my friends and foes, and learnt to coexist. I found out when I must give ground and when I should resist. I made my small advances and coped with my reversals, a marvellous convenient place for all my first rehearsals of what to do with liberty. I'll recognise its bounds. It cost us not. Its value, I can never count in pounds. I'll seek some scrap of ancient waste that no one seems to need. I'll play and learn and laugh and build and blow the clock in seed. Though through the grasses I may glimpse the sign, the time's grown less. I'll cry and beat the bounds anew, and I will make redress. Oh, go prepare ye garlands, sweet vernal grass in bunches yield. Let brass and drum and cymbals sound in honour of Tocqueville. Could somebody give me a number between 9, it's a long book, and shall we say 500 and 5 and 900? 34. We may all live to regret this. 34. Right then. Oh dear. I can be permitted to run you in a bit, yes. Oh yes. Although there is a fine patriotic ring to the idea that the cannon used at the Battle of Waterloo were manufactured in West Bowling, it was not long before the quality decamped to escape the noxious fumes over the hills and far away to somewhere green and pleasant. Attempts to see Jerusalem builded here did frequently cease from mental fight, and the arrows of desire struck some odd targets. But my dad, thanks to Methodism, had abstained from alcohol all his life. I wish the Methodists had taken the same line on Woodbines. And I sang, "Oh, for the wings of a dove," and where the bee sucks at the chapel a street away. We had public baths, a library, and as early as 1892, Keir Hardie had created a sensation by entering Parliament in a cloth cap and tweed suit and wearing a red tie. And the next year, the Independent Labour Party was founded in Bradford in the name of equality. As for Merry England, well, on May Day, the great dray horses that pulled coal delivery carts were arrayed with shining horse brasses, I remember, and coloured ribbons plaited into their manes and tails. My Church of England elementary school held an annual garden party in the grounds of St. Stephen's Vicarage, at which some of the girls did a maypole dance and some boys a sword dance with an impressive end, which, like the maypole, depended on interlacing. In this case, the interlacing of the swords, wooden battens, a rosette carried aloft by the leading boy. I envy all of them. But I was only a Methodist, you see. They were all belonged to the proper church. From my aerial view of history, I swoop down to the detail of my boyhood's West Bowling and pick out 2 minutes away from our house the cinema hoarding next to the public urinal on Gaythorne Road. Incidentally, the year of the Cottingley Fairies, do you remember the Cottingley Fairies? They were quite local to Bradford. They were discovered by some girls who were encouraged by Conan Doyle to photograph it. And he took it quite seriously and wrote a very long article about it in some London magazine. And so there were fairies in Cottingley in 1917. That was also the year of Marcel Duchamp's artwork urinal, mere 17 years after Ruskin's death, but let that pass. What I'm chiefly remembering from when I was 9 in 1945 is a huge poster of the film The Dolly Sisters, with its alluring full-length portrait in full colour of Betty Grable, whose legs would insure it for $1 million. And June Haver, even more vividly I remember the poster of Jane Russell looking sultry in the straw, in the outlaw. I can still see the straw stirring as they withdrew into the dark. Even at that tender age, it was deeply erotic. I was 6 when the film was produced, but owing to lengthy wrangling with the censorship about you know what, it was not generally released until 1946. The posters and their stars stared boldly at the trams going past, and into the windows of the houses opposite. Parallel with the tram route and behind the hoardings, sunken below the level of the road, was a terrace of low-built cottages called Long Row, which is part of Old Westborough, old enough to have been mentioned in the Woolcombers Report at 1845 as an example of terrible overcrowding. The film itself I saw on our local screen around the corner at Birch Lane Cinema. Birch Lane near Oaks Fold, where there survived, despite the best Hollywood could do, a blackened stone house or two from the early 18th century. Note all these arboreal street names, though there was not a thorn on Gaythorne Road, a birch or an oak in sight, unless you walked to the municipal park. Once the grounds of Bolling Hall, its magic casements rescued from tenement status to attain that of municipal museum by 1915. Magic was now a modern phenomenon and the province of the silver screen. Well, thank you for your time. Won't risk it again. This gives us a little bit of recovery time. I was taught by a famous movement guru called Yat Martin, who taught us, because everything was frontal in this day. And he would, I can't do a lot of the moves now, but he'd say, Dabrika, Dabrika, but recover. If you don't recover, how can you do fast? And then he would say all those cryptic things. Just remember, take your places. I can't do a Swedish. This is meant to be Swedish. Just remember, thought is expressed diagonally. Well, it is. Because even if you're behind me, if I stopped like this, you think, what's happening? He's having a seizure. But if I stop like this, diagonally, so I'm thinking. There's not thought in my head, that was meant to have a covering laugh after it. My digs last week were quite different. I'm going to... Oh, it's never the time. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my first job at the National Theatre. And I thought I'd come up here. And would you mind, madam? You don't mind, do you? Prearranged to come. How are you liking it so far?
Pardon?
Oh yes. Well, you'll be all right. In February 1964, I spoke my first line as a National Theatre player. I'd only one, actually, well, two, but they were spoken to Laurence Olivier as a fellow. I'd first seen Olivier in his film of Henry V at our little local cinema when I was 8. It was all well above my head. Lost my place. But the year before, Seated in the gallery of the Bradford Alhambra for a performance of Humpty Dumpty with Norman Evans, I had taken the decision to become an actor, and was consequently predisposed to respect any film that began and ended its action in a theatre. In any case, I believe I'd got wind even then of Olivier's reputation as a great actor. I know that if the building in Birch Lane was still a cinema, I would be able to take you now, almost in the very seat I sat in, experiencing the mid-1940s equivalent of "This is where it's at." You'll gather I wasn't one of those precocious children who devour the classics early and commit chunks of Shakespeare to memory, who have recourse to old chests and attics where the materials for fabulous costumes and props are to be found, alcoves in drawing rooms to serve as stages, and the flair of a young Diaghilev to make my version of Henry V the high point of a house party or an aunt's visit. But I was stage-struck. I had ambitions. Though I sat there in the Birch Lane cinema, watching Laurence Olivier, little dreaming, as they say in theatrical memoir. At a much later grown-up viewing of Henry V, I was thrilled by a subtle moment in the opening scenes when the camera, moving to show us around the crowded activity backstage in the Globe Theatre's tiling house, suddenly comes upon Olivier, attired as the king, standing still and quiet, waiting by the door, which leads onto the stage. He's about to make his first entrance. Very, very gently, he clears his throat. I hardly dare risk re-examining that moment. Film performances stay the same. We change. Perfectly, I thought, Olivier caught the moment just before an actor starts to act, before he steps from a private into a public reality. Typically imaginative and cunning of him to let us into that lone intimacy, to make it his star entrance into the film, and then take us with him in his pocket onto the stage of the Globe. Can I manage the stairs and read at the same time? This was, he could have done it, but he wore contact lenses. This was the Titan whom I found myself standing next to in a rehearsal room in 1964, and to whom I addressed the line, "'Tis true, Worthy Senior, the Duke's in council, and your noble self, I'm sure, is sent for," while wishing there were not quite so many S's. At one point in the routine of performance, I would stand with Olivier on the cusp between private and public reality. It was before one of his Act 4 entrances. I was behind Sir, waiting in the Old Vics OP assembly in my party-coloured tights for my third non-speaking characterization as a Venetian gentleman, along with Lodovico and other attendants. I can still remember the very old actor who used to listen to this announcement. Sir Lawrence, Miss Smith, and all concerned in the entrance to Cyprus. So I used to say, "I've been all concerned for too long." Well, there was standing. You may have, some of you have seen him doing that part. He once said to me, he actually said to me, tell her yes. I was fucked by the time I'd done the makeup. He used to put on various layers and polish it with silk and all this, and everywhere. But this is not my arse. This is the radio mic. My voice is designed like this. At one point in the routine of performance, I was standing with Olivier on the cusp between private and public reality. It was before one of his Act 4 entrances. I was waiting for that, along with Lodovico. Now, as always, he was utterly still and quiet. And in deference to him, so were we. The burden of Othello apart, he always felt that his deportment in the wings in every production must set an example, an impeccable example. He'd been playing Othello at the rate of one midweek matinee per week for a long time. Aside from other considerations, it was a way of ensuring a capacity audience. He was beginning to have, occasionally, little tricky moments when he would have little drives, which he would cover up by keeping going in the meter, miraculously. I recall distinctly, in the arrival of Cyprus, I prattled out of fashion and I doped in mine own comforts, becoming one afternoon. I prattled out of fashion and unbotched in mine own infancy. On another afternoon, there was a certain subdued tension in the atmosphere in the OP assembly as we waited for this entrance. I forget what momentary loss of fluency had occurred. Unexpectedly, as we stood in the gloom, Olivia, still looking at the ground, broke the uneasy silence by murmuring, "Anyway, I fucked up better productions than this." Only 4 people heard him say that. And I'm the one that's still alive. So you may never hear the story again. But I also remember standing near him on the first night of Othello in Birmingham at the Alexander Theatre in the Senate scene. I was diagonally 9 feet behind him to the left as he began most potent, I can't possibly imitate him. Most potent, grave and reverend signals. You know, nobody ever seems to get Othello right to me. I know that Richard Eyre has said that it was a risible performance. He used to say almost risible, now he's amended that to risible. But if you were there, forget the film. The film is unfortunate. I remember I was taken out of my walk-on. I kept on walk-ons for years, even when you were doing decent parts. You go on doing the walk-ons. So one night you'd be a Venetian gentleman, the next night you'd be somebody important. And I remember, what was I going to tell you? I'm going to tell you something about it. Yes. I remember that, most potent, grave and reverend seniors are very noble and approved good masters. It was like watching a Rolls Royce. Oh, I know what I was going to say. We browsed in Birmingham for a bit while something else was in the repertoire, and he opened unusually out of town in Birmingham on tour. So he had his first night in Birmingham on Monday, with no preview or anything. And I remember his first entrance, you may recall it too, was carrying a rose. And he used to walk downstage in the old days to the audience, and it is better as it is. And then he'd walk. I know, I was going to say, I can't hear anybody else do Othello without thinking they got it wrong. Anyway, and then he'd walk stage right, and Iago would be talking here, and then he'd walk back. And John Dexter stopped him. This morning I was standing ready to come on with a hobble or something. And he said, "Larry, why do you do that move? You just come on. You walk across there and then you turn back and you walk up. What's the point of that?" He said, "Well, I've just come on. It gives them the chance to see both sides of my face." And Dexter said, "Well, I think it looks... We'll take it again." So they went upstage, Larry and Frank Pingley. And I heard Sir Lawrence, just like any other actor, saying to her, "It's all right, isn't it? You think it's all right, don't you?" Frank knew which side his bread was buttoned in the cocktail. And then I I told that story to dear departed Robert Lang, and he said, "My God, you squared a circle for me." Because when we did, what's that play by Arthur Miller, The Crucible, you know, there's a visiting magistrate that you think, oh God, somebody with a bit of sophistication and sense is going to sort this out, and the poor girl's going to go out and everything. And he comes on, and it was played by that very wonderful white-haired actor. Anyway, and he's beginning the deposition of this piece of paper, and he sits down, and he doesn't say anything for a bit, and other things go on. And Peter Sellier said, "Oh, Sir Lawrence, I can't do this move round here in front of, because, why not? Because, that's all right. Who else can do it?" Another guy did it. So that, I remember his name in a minute, so that he could look up from his papers with his son and go, we need to see both sides of his case. Anyway, but this night in Birmingham, his first night is Othello to the world. And I was standing 9 feet away from him, just upstage of him here. And it says here, it was like watching a Rolls Royce on its maiden run. What time do we have to stop, is it? It was like watching a Rolls Royce on its maiden run. We know that you can stand a silver sixpence vertically on its rim on the bonnet of a Rolls, whilst the engine is running, idling, and there will be no vibration to disturb the balance of the coin. A Rolls doesn't have nerves. All I saw of Sirs that night was the slightest shift in some deep psychic gear, the faintest slowing in speed, masking the effort to shake off all possibility of superfluous vibration, so that Othello's powerful engine could be seen at this stage in the play, only to be proudly turning over in neutral. I think we stop at 1:45, don't we?
Yes.
So in the 10 minutes, I'm supposed to take questions. Would anybody like to ask a question or make an observation?
Could we know what's in the board over there? Why did you bring that on?
The right line. Oh yes! There's always a reason. You never bring a prop on for no reason. How kind of you, I would have completely forgotten. This is a private view. I'm a weekend painter, and this is the equivalent of hot off the press, and I thought it might. There we are. I thought you'd be near enough to it. This is my dog. There's 2 other people. And I think a friend of mine said the jeans are very well painted. Props. I'm having a private. I hadn't told my voiceover agent. I hadn't told her that I was doing this, and she said, "Would you like to go to this cast?" Well, it doesn't get rolled and goes for auditions nowadays, and there were no lines involved, and I could have gone because it was at 3 o'clock. But there was a possible recall to the people they really wanted to look at carefully at 6. Which is a bit tight. And all I would have had to have done was to choose. I'd like to audition for that. And a very famous RSC actor when I was at a garden party for the end of John Nettle's career in garden party with all these terms, these elderly terms. It was extraordinary. It was like an episode, you know. We had a lot of reputations were stabbed, of course. You expected everybody to collapse anyway. But anyway, and one very famous, we were complaining about this terrible business of going up to these nebulous little, and sometimes they send you 4 sides which you have to learn. And so it's tomorrow at 11 o'clock, and you make it 4 sides, they want to learn it, do it on film. And this famous actor you all know said all I had to do was, but I didn't get it. My next role, I'm rather thrilled. As you know, I've broken into musicals, and I've been trying to break out ever since. They're going to do Coco, which is a famous musical about Coco Chanel, written by people. Alan J. Lerner and Andre Previn. I just wanted to give Coco herself. And I have to sing a song. Oh, Mother Kelly. Thank you, I think I better go. Standing ovations, actually, but anyway. I really am terribly chuffed. And if anybody does want to buy a load of products, I've signed a few copies, and I'll see you soon. And bless you all. Thank you.